this Facilities and Technology Committee meeting on Wednesday, June 11th at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Regola, and board members, Ellen, Patrick, Rachel, and other members that are here. Sandy,
It's okay.
Tim.
We know names are not your
Just
strength.
write it down, Ellen. Okay, thank you. I'd like to hear a motion for approval of the agenda. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to hear a motion for approval of the minutes. Questions? All in favor? Nobody opposed? Motion passes. We have anyone on the public line? No. We'll skip step 5 and jump right into discussions, next steps. And we'll start as usual with Ms. Rachel and our technology updates.
Yeah. You want to do social media first or?
Whichever you
Okay.
prefer.
So I did switch it up a little bit this month, because last meeting, or maybe it was one meeting before, I had announced that all the websites were officially up. So I wanted to give a little insight on how well they're doing. So the data in the packet is just the usage over, the past month. So I just wanted to point out, even on our district page, we had almost 61,000 visits to our homepage. So somebody typed in Torrington.org or Googled us or something of that sort and landed on our Torrington Public Schools homepage. So, and that was just within the past month. So really good traffic. You can see the other schools have some decent traffic as well. Some better than others, obviously, because they've just been up longer and people are, familiar with visiting them and how to navigate them. But for the majority, you can see that parents are going to the parents and families section in that top corner there. They're viewing important things like the calendars, which, lets the parents know what we have going on in our schools, as well as the school times and lunch menus and all the things that, parents would typically want to see when they're visiting our websites. So it looks like they're able to navigate to the right places and they're getting some information that's useful to them. So yeah, I just figured I'd switch it up a little bit and share a little bit of that. And, as we all know, the schools are going to be changing up a little bit. So you will see some changes in the website to reflect the new schools. And that will happen over the summer. So when we come back, I can probably give a little update on that.
Okay.
Any questions?
Are the Valley's weekends?
Yes, yeah, they are. It's typically, we'll still get a little traction on Saturdays and then Sundays it kind of plummets. And then it goes back up.
Do staff utilize the web pages at all? It just seems like weird.
Yeah, especially our like main public school page. It's where all of our forms are and all that stuff. So they do
So,
utilize it.
How do you distinguish between parents and staffers?
Well, I mean, you can look at where they're going, right? Like, I mean, breakfast and lunch menus, most likely a parent. You can see number 4 is useful links for employees. So 960 views on our employee pages. And then if you look over on the right column, you can see first time visits. So it'll go by device, the first time that device visits the website. But I mean, even 2,800 first time visits in the past month to our main web page. So all really good numbers.
Very good. Do you have any questions? All right,
That's
what's next?
So for the tech updates, not too much. We're really just focusing on collecting the devices. The device collection happened at the middle school on Tuesday. Yes. And was really turned out great. I want to give kudos to the students over there because they returned their devices in the case with chargers. They did a really good job this year of returning things. So yay for the middle schoolers. And device collection at the high school is still rolling because they're in their exam time right now. So those will all be collected by the end of the week. And then I wanted to give a little insight on some of the projects that the team is going to be working on this summer, because we all know that it's going to be an extremely busy summer. So I thought I would just give a little glimpse of that. Technicians will be collecting, cleaning, and updating approximately 4,100 devices, including MacBooks, Chromebooks, and iPads, which is huge, a huge task in itself. Assisting staff with relocating their classrooms and familiarizing them with any new technology. Prepping devices and classrooms for summer school use. That is something that we also do. We make sure all the classrooms are ready, or for the upperclassmen, we'll get devices ready for those courses. Assisting central office staff with relocating to the new central office suite and familiarizing us with any new technology. So there's a few new things in our new building that are, different from here, including the phones. So the staff will be helping with that. Setting up new equipment in the middle school building, including smart boards with their built-in computer systems, digital signage, copiers, other office equipment. Setting up repurposed smart boards from some of our schools into classrooms that will be used for the upcoming school year. Updating all of our Windows devices from Windows 10 to 11. If Jeff was here, I'm sure he would be thrilled because he mentioned that the other meeting. So that will be officially happening this summer. And then just prepping for distribution for the upcoming school year. So we have a very busy summer ahead of us, but yeah, ready to get started. Any questions?
Anybody has any questions? I guess for August, we need to prepare, I know it's gonna come up. This device protection plan thing, we gotta update our form.
Yes,
Get a
yes.
copy of this, when do you gotta send that out?
I typically send it out, like the first week of school to families. And then I give them like a month or two to submit their forms and make payment.
So that's our first meeting in August, and
Absolutely,
approve it the third week, and then you send it out.
absolutely.
Anyone else have any questions? Charge on.
Thank you.
Move over to Mr. Regola and facilities.
Okay, so I included some items to take a look at for tonight. If we can punch them up on the board there. I guess the first one we can talk about is signs for the Torrington Intermediate School. They have a copy also. But I wasn't sure which one you can see, but I was sure we did it kind of both ways. So the one up on the left-hand side is the one that there's a big stone sign that's out there right now. There's a couple of options where we can encase the entire stone itself, or we can just pin to the front of it. You can see the price difference between the two. So if you pin in front of it, you would obviously still see stone sides, and looks a little, I guess, a little sleeker from the side when you enclose the whole thing, but the same graphics that we have on it. The next picture to the right is what we have on the building already, is it says Torrington Middle School. That we're trying to use, and I think we have options to reuse the school and Torrington and just get intermediate in between there. That's what it looks like. Oh, to the right, and that's what it would look like to the left of the picture, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and then the two on the bottom are two different options for the one that's out on East Pro Road. There's a sign that's out there right now that's just very, very outdated. So that's two different options with the large T and with the small T on top. So, what I say, East Road, sorry, that's the next subject. You're right.
The stone one's on.
You're right.
Right.
You're right. That's.
Do you need the T?
Pardon me?
Do you need the T?
Nope. Oh, any T?
Yeah. The one there doesn't have to.
No, I mean, there could be minor adjustments to it.
Dean, could it be done like the one at the top that's going over the cement one? Could that T be enhanced? So Ellen, it would incorporate that
Right.
T as part of Torrington, like the top one, and it would be
Yeah.
more consistent?
Can be. I mean, I don't see why not. I would have to give that to somebody.
And just seeing that at the top, it kind of, it's nice. I like that look.
So that same look in the lower. Lower. Yep.
So is the one out in 21st Street, is that like a whole new sign?
Yeah, see the one that's there? Yeah, that's coming out in the most recent.
So there'll be nothing to
That's
like
both sides.
change signs and say, you know, school dance. Or,
No, these are not energized.
no, this wasn't even.
Oh, yeah. No, there was nothing on there. That's right with the letters that were on there. No, nothing.
There's gonna be nothing.
Less activity. At the.
Yeah.
Since.
I don't know how much that was used anyway, Shelley. How much has that been used?
What was that?
The old sign, putting letters on there saying there's a school dance or there's,
No, it's not.
yeah, I don't think that's really been used
Oh, yeah,
recently.
recently, probably not.
Yeah.
But in the
I was
past,
gonna say, not since I, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, since I don't-
Fire away.
Where's the money coming from?
So the money for that will be coming from, our general budget.
It's already in there. It's already in there. This year,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
so that. I'm supposed to be. So there's enough if we wanted to go with. High end, everything.
I think if we, yes, like we want the top left, bottom left, I mean, bottom left, to see these point, look like the top left. And we left the full wrap you're talking about, that's what you're saying, top notch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on the bricks. So
Yeah.
what were the letters on the bricks? Don't they drill the hole?
Yeah, they're pinned in. So that they're gonna have, it's a little bit of to do. To move.
How's it gonna look when you put it in?
You won't see it. The letter should cover that, the way they have it. Right now, if you look at where the middle school is, right there to the right or left, middle school almost takes up that space, so.
And that's high up on the roof, that's what
Yeah,
they make
that's-
that for.
For you to see that pinhole. You think about, you know, making sure. It's not like that. Yeah. Yep.
Make it look like the bricks.
What's the option, I'm sorry, are you all set? No,
Yes.
the die bolt pulls up? Call it, add additional dimensional letters for additional 44, What's that get us? What are we looking at the dimensional letters or is that something additional?
Where are you reading that?
The top left. The second option, the fold up. So fold up covers all five.
So dimensional letters is that the one that's kind of,
Is it like
Oh.
you see,
popped
yeah,
out?
What's the difference?
It's just, I think it's raised a little bit.
I think it's more of a raised than not flat face.
Rather quickly?
It kind of doesn't give you any justice because I should have a
Yeah.
black background.
Yeah, I don't think so either, to be honest with you. Of course, they're showing pictures with the white.
And the bottom one is right around letters of Torrington.
I would agree with Sandy, like, they should
They should be consistent.
be just making the same, whatever's,
Whatever it is, make it the
Easiest.
same.
Yes,
yeah.
And we like the red around Torrington, and we like the no T for the T and the word Torrington, not additional T.
Yeah,
no, we need to.
You like the red one?
No.
Nope, no red one.
the red T has white around it. Red around red. You can see it.
Just to look like the top left,
Got it.
Yeah,
mirror the top left to the bottom.
Yep.
I got you.
if everyone's.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I was just
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yeah.
I like that too, personally.
Anybody have an opinion on those dimensional letters? Don't really- No, Perfect. I'm all right with that. All right. Let this go.
Looking at this sheet, I'm looking at the numbers. This is a high quality, highly respected, second generation business in town. It's good people doing a good job. But when you look though at the options, depending on what we decide to get into, the extra cost, will that bring us above the point at which we need to allow bids for the country?
I don't know, I'd have to,
You know, because I think you start adding those options up and the bucket truck and things like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna get to be expensive.
It's gonna get pretty
Pretty quick. We don't want to get into the trap where it's our business and things that people want to-
This is installed, though, right? These prices are installed, right?
Installations billed at $145 an hour
yeah,
per installer,
they gave us a line up.
per installer, so how long do they think it's gonna take 60 installers to be?
Cost of installation.
Oh, this is just.
So if they have an installer that's $145 an hour, and then another one in a bucket truck that's $245 an hour?
Yes. So they were up on the roof, and that picture showing the guy up on the roof, or that's actually, so, the last I spoke, they didn't think they were gonna need it because they were able to access the roof. They wanted to get up there and see if it was a flat roof. They weren't sure if they would have to boom across. It was pretty big,
Yeah.
doesn't show because the whole entranceway, they'd have to boom across.
Not sure if we break it out into. You know, street sign is one job, the other street sign is another job, building's another job, then we avoid a lump sum. Yeah. I think the projects, we call it a phased project due to scheduling. When I went.
Okay.
Could be expensive. We could trigger.
So
I don't know who else would bid this.
I actually had another guy look at it and he declined the bidder. He's too busy. I had, yeah, just got the email today. He was supposed to give me the number today and he sent back on. Truly regret this, but I can't put a number there, so.
I hear your point, John, but it's not,
I'm already the right.
like, yeah, I think it was dimes, they were keeping the business local.
Well, it doesn't hurt the business.
Yeah.
And they also done a couple of things within the community. So I would never discourage us from dealing with it. So, yeah, I'm just legislating. That's the center. Keep it low as possible.
Get the numbers.
Okay, I guess the next item that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is, I talked to city engineering and about we call, the address we use now is Middle School Drive, which I think is confusing and will be even more confusing when it's an intermediate school. And I reached out to them and they said that it is a private road. You can name it anything you want. They don't care. They don't care. They did suggest they don't plow it. No, but they did suggest, yeah. I suggest the middle school have the below address such that it does not, that it does have frontage on the public road. He suggested the address of 295 East Pearl Road. You can rename the middle school drive anything you like, as it is a private driveway and not a public street. I'm thinking for deliveries and everything else that goes on in there, we're gonna change the name. I think it's a good idea to go 295 East Pearl, and that means the road just loops around. Say that road, if someone thinks it's a road, yeah, it is, it's the whole road, not Middle School Drive and East Pearl Road or whatever. So I thought it was a pretty good idea to keep it East Pearl Road because it's on that street. You put actually a number to it. Just to clean up any confusion.
So what's our address now?
200 Middle School Drive. And again, it's really not. It's what vendors know, it's who this knows, and it's Google.
Now you have an official street name and address that's not the official road.
Yeah, he didn't care. He said, what you want. I thought it was a good idea to keep it kind of consistent. I'm guessing there's a 290 or 295. But I can get more clarification on it, but I just, again, it would be a street sign and we would have to change our heading, which we do anyway for all our stuff that we use. It would be known as a different name than Middle School
It's just like
Drive.
a building on East Pearl. It's like 355 Michigan.
Right.
It would just be a number on East Pearl.
It'd be an identification number. Again, we can call it anything we want. Mike Wilson Drive. Beautiful.
I thought Sandy.
Sandy Man.
You know,
Well,
I think I take the authority.
And what we have the sign grade on 183, which we're gonna put as the middle school sign. Intermediate school sign.
well, again, there is a one that says middle school, so we can, to be honest with you, I would say nothing. You have the sign, you have this sign right there. Right next to the driveway. I don't think we need a post and a sign that says middle school driveway. I don't think it's just.
I mean, on 183,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a sign out there that says middle school.
Well,
If you need,
no,
Or not.
you'll see like this, it'll be a street sign. It just take away the street sign.
I'm just wondering about confusing vendors the first couple of times.
Probably.
Third time won't be a problem.
Probably. No, I'm not gonna.
How's this for,
Change.
how about this for a suggestion? We don't change anything except we take out the middle out of the address. Instead of middle school drive, it's 200 school drive.
About that too.
Mine, much subtle of a change, people won't get too confused.
I do think, but the only thing is, it's still kind of close to. What do you think, middle school drive? No, school drive, where if you say East Pearl, it's kind of like, no questions asked, 'cause I thought about the same thing. That's really bad, I think, yes, John, you're 100% right, or somebody's gonna miss it,
The first time, the second.
and then all of a sudden, that big beautiful sign that says intermediate school, they're gonna realize they're pulling that.
If you give them the address and they punch it into the GPS, it's not our fault if they go on 183.
Yeah, it'll take a while for GPS to catch up to it.
Do deliveries come in the back or do they come in?
I think you get them both, don't you, Michelle, depending on it, yeah.
Kimberly, you have a question?
I don't have a question, I just have a thought, just thinking about all the weird stuff that just happened on our lovely roadways in the state of Connecticut, where we have all those exit changes, and then we have little signs below them that say old exit 34 or whatever. temporarily, could we put some kind of lawn sign out that says, you know, formerly 200 Middle School Drive, that just kind of identifies something for vendors. If for a temporary fix, that would be something inexpensive to be able to, consistent with what the whole state of Connecticut's done now with our roadways, you know, kind of advising people that it's now East Pearl Street, but it's formerly 200 Middle School Drive. And that would just make vendors proper direction. I don't know. I just thought of that from the roadway, so.
Jason has just sent me a suggestion.
There's
Pretty informative.
He's suggesting we call it, and I just, I want to show you, Raider Way. I thought it said one Raider Way. It's a good thing I put my glasses.
Well, whatever this committee decides, it's gonna go to the board to be discussed and a decision made.
Well. We really have decision to make on naming the address.
I would say the recommendation from this committee should go to the full board. And the board to, I mean, I think if the recommendation is made here, we don't need a lot more discussion.
Does this open a can of worms with DAS and the roof projects? Changing the address of the sites.
I thought it doesn't. I thought we brought that up.
We brought that up about the school name. The actual address. You know, those guys can be weird, you know, just. What should say it to them?
Again, I think the suggestion from the city, you know, engineer as far as 295, in my opinion, would separate it. Not tie it into any particular,
Yeah, another one makes sense.
It can't be 200.
No,
Well, there are buildings that do that. Other facilities, the softball field, for instance, so they probably all have street ads.
The field does. Because it's part of that. Rich taxes.
I think just need the. Well, it's either. We have something, options.
I don't want to bring this many options to the full board.
I would say
because,
come with one for this group.
Yeah.
I would say it's either take out the word middle, call it school, or 295 East Pearl. Or Raider Way.
I like.
Those are your three options. And I think if this group can pick one.
I have a question. We got an okay to do like the drive at Torrington. Then that went sour and it wasn't done right, and we didn't get the right, whatever. I just want to make sure that what we have in writing is golden. And I don't doubt
I'm
you.
not sure
I'm just
besides the
saying,
city engineer where I can ask him to give it to you in a more formal way than an email.
yeah,
And then, I mean,
because we could do all this, rename it, and then they'll come back to us and say, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can ask to put it on their letterhead and just message it to me and then. I mean, check with the PD and FD. I mean, you know, before that.
Yeah.
I think they would have an issue with it. They can't be so bad, it's a private road, so it's kind of like your driveway. That's what you're saying.
As the
Right,
committee
and that's
chair,
Yeah, I like the idea because it's like a drive
This is not like your driveway,
to name it.
because your house is
Not
better
name
than
it, just give it a number.
It's bad.
West Pearl Road.
It's not a drive, not your driveway.
We gotta get a number for the other one on 24th Street. All right, I guess we'll do a straw poll here. We got three choices.
Let's just.
I want everybody's opinion. All committee members. Instead of three.
We're the committee.
Yeah.
So we decide.
It's a straw poll. And let's just see what the general consensus, what they prefer. So the first choice was dropping out middle, we're just calling it school drive, 200 school drive. That's option one. Right, 200 school. The other one,
Drive. Because we have a school street.
going to school drive. Option two was
Was 295 East Pearl Road.
East Pearl Road. Third one was,
Greater Way.
Greater way.
we'll keep it at 200 Raider Way. Right?
I don't know why you need 200.
Well, I don't know. There's a 200 middle school drive. Is there 200 there for a reason? I don't know.
What should we name it? Just call it Raider Way. Take out the name.
Raider Way. Three options. Who likes options? Number one, 200 school drive. Alright, big fat no on that one. 295 East Pearl. 2, 3, 4, 5. Up or down? Is that up?
I'm up.
Yes.
You're up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Everybody's
I was
opinion.
gonna say, are you looking for all of us? I'm looking to say-
Yes.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's gonna be 9. I think that's gonna be the winner. And how many hands for Raider Way?
It's nice.
That'd be 2. All right. So, I'd like to hear a motion to pass to the full board. Making the, I guess, not really address change, but the name change of the street. Middle School Drive to 295 East Pearl Road. All right, all in favor? Add that to the action item on the full board. All right, Dee.
Also for the sign.
We're about to copy that. You have to. Yeah,
I would say entertain a motion, top left, same as bottom left.
yeah, yeah, as discussed, we're all in agreement that bottom left matches top left. Correct?
Yeah.
We're not doing the fancy letters on the top one.
But one case.
The full. Yeah, these options. And not
No,
big
it's
T,
like-
this is gonna match this one.
Yes. No matter.
Top left, match bottom.
And the letters on the building, obviously, those are just moving them around and add the letter.
And with the understanding that we'll get more information on.
Well, once we make
Over
a
the
choice, we know
process.
what's sauce.
Right, right.
Yeah, we kind of need a full and
Right.
labor install price for each one. So if the lift charges are included in the building side, if they need it. Well, no,
Yeah.
not to drag this out, but. Oh, that's just a big T on this one, bottom right. That's- Okay, so I guess we'll have a motion to move the signage to the. All in favor? Action item number 2. All right, Dean.
And then I have just, some updated stuff that we're going to be working on. Throughout the summer. So like carry over, actually stuff that I'm gonna knock out. Starting Tuesday.
We talked to, you on the project list there? Is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm sorry, yes, yes.
Fire away, Ellen.
INTM volleyball.
The volleyball, sleeves. In the intermediate school, sorry, that's intermediate school. I got to start changing it to TIS, but I'm using IPMD, the initials, I'll change it to TIS for fun intermediate school. The sleeves in the floor right now have to be repaired, the volleyball, all star, all over the place. So that's what that is.
Okay. Is the plan to have the recreational volleyball there, women's volleyball?
Yeah, I don't see any change. I mean, who knows in the future, but yeah, I have a big plan to happen now.
So with that said, not to get off topic here, does the new middle school gym have volleyball posts in it? You do?
And high school, by the way. From high school.
I mean, I hate to go through this line by line, but
Well, that's because they play the team there, right? The middle school, it was for the old middle school, the existing middle school was for women's recreation.
when we did our walkthrough, I didn't notice them in the floor.
They might not have, they come in later, so I don't know when you did your walkthrough, but they cut them in probably. A month into school season this year, maybe, or maybe it was Christmas time.
What's BOE outlet Ethernet?
BOE.
Would that be
outlet
kind of-
Ethernet.
Is that more in your category?
Yeah, it's for a copier. They just didn't put an outlet in that space and
In the new school?
in the board of ed
Yes.
office.
Up in the Board of Ed, there was an area where we decided we want to put a copier,
Okay,
and then there's no power or not here in.
I understand. That's why I said the new building.
So,
That portion of the building's turned over, right? Okay,
The volleyball, is it in the new middle school? Does it set up the volleyball? The new middle school gym, not the high school side, not intermediate school. The new middle school.
yes, that's,
So both gyms have the volleyball. So we will have 3 gyms that
Pretty
will
much.
have.
TJ's punch list, that's more,
again, this is kind of like a projects to do, yeah.
that's under the building committee.
That is,
Relocation of rooms, that moving? Or what's relocation of rooms? Well,
yes, that is, we've got a few different elements that are moving. People moving in.
it's reconfiguring the redistricting,
Redistrict, that's all it is.
so it's all part of redistricting.
Yep.
Fort Chiller.
That was not replacement, that was, we had repair. So that's why it says, 24 chiller,
Yeah.
in progress, that should be, complete. Oh, yeah, oh, it's in progress, no, that should be complete, that is stuff.
Does that extend its service life or is that just the emergency repair to
That
make
was
it work?
abandoned.
So it's still in dire need of capital.
Replacement,
In our budget, do we have set aside a slush fund for the grant Band-Aid or? So we're gonna need quite a few Band-Aids over the next 12 months.
But we did end up carrying the full amount of maintenance instead of kind of the back. Loaded up to the chain of the building. So we did need a little cushion. A little bit of today's request. For maintenance of theirs, so we anticipated having to carry the buildings. May not be enough to cover a massive children fair. It's something.
Paint library ceiling. Both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, fix the ceiling and then.
well, again, it's on there, right? But the roof is the problem, the ceiling isn't the problem,
I thought the roof was fixed.
the roof has been patched. The roof has been patched.
It's not actively leaking.
It's not actively leaking today, but I guarantee you after put paint on it.
Well, even if we just scrape off the pieces hanging, it'll look
We're
better.
gonna try to go.
Update BMS, is that part of our, thing we did with Siemens?
No, this is a different school. So,
Oh, I'm sorry,
BMS
you're
is wrong. Yeah, and this is actually the company that. I think before I say that. Yeah, this is the company that is our BMS at Torrington High School right now. The new high school is the same thing. BMS is our building maintenance system, HVAC controls and all of that stuff. And then the one we had on Global is very much outdated, lost control of a lot of different pieces of equipment. So that was the first step.
Is there any opportunity for Siemens to do,
It's a different company.
well, right, but is there any opportunity to bring that efficiency, those, that Eversource dollars back into
Well,
some of these other buildings?
You would have to do a whole retro commission on that. Yeah.
But that was a great deal.
Yeah.
Is that something the team's looking at possibly?
Not for this,
Looking at
not for
buildings.
this CMS.
No, but in general for the other
Sure.
buildings.
Yeah.
Any questions on the projects list that Dean has presented before? Go ahead.
That's page. INTM.
Say it again?
INTM.
Oh, the back, back of the building is the service road that we found that using that service road for drop off and pickup has alleviated a lot of congestion. You know, came up with this plan. Well, it needs to be rebuilt. There needs to be filling on it. There's potholes. There's in the wintertime. I want to say the last storm when we had all that water, it was, so it, in doing the millings, it's going to be crowning it and making sure that this water flows with it. And it's not asphalt, but it's pretty darn close to it. And
And it'll
it's-
take off the traffic.
it'll take all the traffic, yeah, and clean it up.
We'll have to do it every.
I think the last time this was done, I think it was brought in maybe 4 years ago. I'm trying to gather information on that. I think somebody might have brought some stuff in. I don't think at the level that we're gonna do now, because we're going to try to definitely get it so it maintains a little longer. It was on off. We want to make sure the water runs and doesn't sit. That's what happens when it's not. It's just thrown down and not rated, about the way it sits and then problem.
So aspirationally, we're looking to get 5%.
Yeah.
So that we,
All right, anybody else have any other questions? Right, moving on. Number 2,
Where is
TMS roof
Okay,
update.
sorry.
I don't have, do you need a sheet?
We are waiting for signatures. It's in the building department's hand right now, fire marshal's hands, and I want to say health department. I don't think any of them signed off on it just yet. But we're waiting for
Their signature.
their signature.
The additional had a list. There are a lot of forms we have to get.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows, there was we had a meeting with the state of Connecticut. I stopped counting at 9, additional 9 SCG forms that we had to have completed. It's not just our signatures, some of them require signatures.
when will the state make the ruling and whether or not we can just go over the top or stuff like that?
That'll keep us. There's no left on that. A building official. So but I think that initial design state has given us a list of a few things that we had to do, but as far as the overlay, it's a done deal. Am I misspeaking when I say that?
You're correct.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be good. Sure, so. Which is why this, you let the state say yes before you get it. You don't want,
Now you can say the state said it was fun.
well, yeah.
Did that guy, what was his name?
Kermit,
Kermit, yes. He gave us a letter saying that was gonna be okay.
saying the overlay, you know?
Yeah,
Well, I think that would have came up and that would have been a problem if his approval of the plan and spec saying that the overlay is okay.
I understood from the phone call that there needs to be approval on his side.
May I speak?
Yeah.
He felt that, the explanation of the engineer was sufficient for the overlay, and we just asked him to follow up with the description that he gave us on that call in order to get the official state blessing. So Mark is like 90% done with that checklist. So we're waiting on signatures, and then all that goes to the state, and then we'll have the final stamp of approval to go out to bid.
So we're close.
We're getting there.
Kermit led to the fact that he's not the one that makes the final decision.
Correct. There's a committee.
There's some other new committee, new members.
Absolutely. Yes.
They had different ways of doing things. I just don't, if you're saying we got the okay from Kermit,
You know, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. So we are waiting for that, once we answer that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple more
and that's gonna
papers.
come from Gail.
Yeah, yeah.
Gail's gonna send that, and he's gonna get the okay. That's stamped, and we move on. Okay. So I guess kind of maybe update us at the end of the month. Maybe we hear back at our full board meeting.
Sure.
All right, let's do roof. Street name we already covered, and the signage. You missed it, you're up. You'll have to wait till the full board.
So, yeah, I guess I should.
No, oh, geez, you're right. 295 East Pro Road. 295 East Pro Road.
That's it for now. One. Yep, did we decide it was we decided it was a private drive? Huh?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
And you got a email to that effect, but we want it officially done. So that they can't come back and say.
I get this. I need to go next.
Good luck with that. All right, moving on. We covered signage as well, right? So I guess we're right at the, do you have anybody have any more questions for Dean or Rachel?
Question was for Dean, but not on.
That was.
With everything going on around this building and everything else, making me wonder, when is the official date? Do we have one yet for moving everything to the new facilities?
When you say you need Board of Ed,
Right.
you know, we have a schedule in July, it progressively gets us all in as far as people, and there's stuff that they need to work. Over, and then there's going to be an additional time. You know, after students are in, school's up and running, that we start archiving the stuff that's in basement.
Some point our address becomes.
Major best,
Major best.
major best.
That's a city street.
It is to a certain. We plow it, so.
No, it can't be a city.
Change that.
We should change that. I was thinking that we're changing that name too.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
There's no drop dead date, you know, we're 355 Midget one day and we are at whatever.
So I can answer the question, come July 1, now, we'll be starting to send to the new 50 nature decimal. However, as Dean pointed out, it's a staggered approach, we just took third and Dean and Rachel with a one fell swoop. So officially, not until the end of July, August. But the address and the mail change, well, the telephone numbers will be changing. Rachel has the new numbers, and they'll be ported and they'll be put on the website. So, but because it's a staggered approach, we will notify which department. It is, it's so, for example, like to your point, my office will be here until the very end, so yes, anyone contact the superintendent. For example, human resources, they'll be over there on June 30th, July 1, so you're right, we have to notify people about the places.
Jeffrey, quick question for technology, because I missed it. I'm sorry for being late. I don't know if we can do that. On the technology item, the device protection plan, do we have?
We talked about that.
Yeah,
Yes, we
briefly
did.
talked about it. She's gonna do a revision. We're gonna see it the first week of our meeting, second week in August.
You guys, somebody new. Thank you both.
I was covering.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I saw you might type it in.
All right,
We usually move things to like minutes.
let's go for topics. Topics for future meetings. I guess, Rachel, the only thing I really have from you, other than our normal 2 bullet points, would be the device protection plan. Is
Absolutely.
there anything else you feel relevant that will come up in August?
Not at the moment.
August, like last minute panic, school's opening in a month, I need to get this.
Yeah, if anything, I could squeeze it in tech update or let person know.
Policies. I know, so based on the policy, I keep it policy. But you still need
True.
policies for ice return and consequences, what we're allowed to do. I think they're still beating the drum for you.
Is that something that I would bring here first and then go to policy or just straight to policy?
Straight to policy, I
We'll
think.
definitely defer that, right, to policy.
But I know you need this stuff,
Okay,
right? I mean, that's what we.
absolutely. So maybe we can.
So that falls under my duties. I need to notify Gary to add policy.
Use all caps.
What is it?
Use all caps.
It would be-
Policy for device returning,
And a policy for, I guess,
it returns damages.
Yeah.
Yes.
all things devices.
all things devices.
Anything on that about school issue devices about?
To an
We don't.
extent, like about the use of it, but not necessarily about the returning and the repercussions of not doing so.
Okay, that's my task. I get like your, get that on the policy.
I appreciate that. Thank
Our friend over here can add it right into their agenda for us.
you.
If that's how that works.
I can't delegate?
No, you cannot.
Yeah,
That would be out of order.
fair enough.
Well, you should encourage.
Next try those.
That will start a lot.
I would
Always
recommend
ask, the worst they can say is no.
Trying to protect you.
And Dean, I guess we'll stay with projects updates. Roof update. Why don't you update us next in August, how the move's going? That moves. Move progress. And the signage will just move into the projects list, right? The signage thing since. What was that on that list?
I think it was all the way at the bottom, towards the end.
Signage, intermediate.
Send me your that.
All right, it's a pretty simple agenda. Comments for the good of the order. Mr. Wilson.
Which is one of the things, Rachel and Dean, it's been a lot. We put stuff on them, we have a lot. Several weeks and months, so I just want to thank them for their dedication. It doesn't go unnoticed. It's a lot going on. Even Mr. Kisner's doing earlier, the staggered approach, just didn't happen by chance. A lot of time, effort, energy, planning of the staggered approach, providing people with the appropriate boxes and inside of that. Constant information going on. So I just want to thank them. They have a huge chance. We'll get through it.
Mr. Pigola.
I'm anxiously ready to roll here. I've been doing a ton of preparing, like you said, kind of prepare for things that we missed. How we handle it. So ready to kind of move forward and handle it. Things come up.
Kim?
Good, thank you. Good to hear.
Drone pilot?
Yeah. Saw that.
Rachel?
Yeah, I'm just echoing what Dean said. It's gonna be busy, but anxious to get started. But good meeting. Thank you very much.
Good meeting.
Some moving parts in this committee. Good year.
I like to end it at that. This year's over, a month off. You got, we have a month off, but you guys got a lot of work to do today.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure. Hope everybody enjoys your summer. And see you soon. There a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Motion. 6.
Rosa? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the budget committee to order at 6:30 p.m. Roll call. Jeff, Patrick, Glenn, Shall we? What's that?
And Jason.
And Jason, sorry. Oh my God, I forgot you last time too.
You should see him, try mine.
I'm gonna have to put you first.
Next time, you have to have big names.
Entertain a motion to remove the agenda.
Second.
On favor? Motion to approve the minutes. Favor? Any public participation? Discussion and next steps, monthly financials, anything stand out?
Let's see, so everybody received the May monthly financials. We're in very good standing as always, very fiscally responsible. And we're going to land in a good place. I do have some answers from last month's meeting that, we had some of the members asked, so I just wanted to address those at this point. If you go to page 9, there was a question about other salaries. And that item is our SRO, a portion of the SRO, for the middle school. It is, under budget. We have 2 SROs, one at the high school and one at the middle school. And together, I believe it's like 140, because we pay for a portion of their salary, including their benefits. And we had one change in staff that had higher benefits. So I don't think that was ever amended in the budget. So we'll have to look at that for next year's budget to make sure that we adjust that. But that is that other salary line item. Does anybody have any questions about that one before I go to the next one?
What was the new split? There was a discussion about the whole, I think, back all this. Changing the split, did it stay that we pay half, including
Correct.
the benefits? Now that is
Yes.
the change.
50%. They just invoiced us, so we will be paying it. Okay, on page 10, there was a question on 5340 about other professional services. And this is a special ed cost through Delta Services. So that was that answer. On page 10 as well for 5352. There was a question on other tech OFL, and I believe somebody did bring this up at the meeting that it was the athletic league officials. So that is correct.
Which one was that?
This is 5352 on page 10.
So those are fees like actually get billed for referees or
Correct.
umpires. That's not like a stipend type thing.
Correct.
Fees based on the sport and how much the referee decides how much they're gonna get. So it's just how many you need per game. Games.
And moving on, page 11. There was a question on 5550 printing and binding. And Superintendent Wilson had alluded to the fact that it was diplomas and certificates, which that is. So we'll be seeing,
Diplomas and certificates.
yeah,
Okay.
We just have spending.
correct.
So yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Now that we know what it is, for the obvious reason.
You got it. So those were the follow-up questions that we had from last month's meeting. And then as far as this month, I did go through it and there, you know, a couple standouts. We've mentioned a lot of them in the past, but I wanted to go over on page 9. Line 5220, Social Security and Medicare was a little under budget. So we are running over there. On 5231, same page, 01, administrator annuity. Again, we're a little bit over, but I think we under budgeted this year. If you look at last year's budget, it was 70.
Did you say we were under budget for 5220? Because it's showing over. we.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
budgeted.
We under.
We under,
budgeted
okay.
Budget cycle.
All right.
Correct,
Now,
sorry, no,
that's okay.
I worded it confusingly, sorry.
That's okay, thank
You
you.
are correct. Yeah. Okay, so moving along. I do know with 5250 for tuition reimbursement, we are running over there and we will be over in that because once again, we set the budget too low. And we have, a lot of teachers and administrators as well taking advantage of the tuition reimbursement, which is wonderful, to help with their professional development.
What number is that?
So
5250, but I think,
5250,
I think you might be backwards on that one,
okay,
because it says that we are at full.
correct, but we don't reimburse until the end of the year.
Oh.
So we have to wait for the receipts to come in. So in June, so in the next week or two, people will be receiving the reimbursement.
Just because I'm curious.
It's always the last check in June.
Yeah,
How do we end up with a credit account in the meantime? Does somebody like owe us money because they didn't get a good enough grade or? Like, it's actually backwards. The moment it actually shows that we put revenue in. And
that could be the case. That could be the case. Like somebody owed us or something was budgeted to the wrong account and we reclassed it. I could find out about that.
no, it was, yeah, they just happened to, I saw it and I'm like, that's so strange. We don't usually get to see an account go in the opposite direction. Hey, that's great. Further if we use it all. So
Correct.
thank you.
5270 workman's compensation. We are over there, and we are probably going to see that go up a little bit more, in the red, because we do have quite a bit of workman's comp claims. Any questions there?
More so at one facility than another.
It's across the board.
Sorry. Yeah. I know you're with that. That's kind of fun.
Okay, 5320 professional education services, related to some special ed expenses. We're slightly over there as well. So keep an eye on that. Page 10. The sports complex annual maintenance contract at 5441.10. We're slightly over there. And that's just the general maintenance of the turf. And so we'll budget appropriately for next year for that. That was $400 over, but it was, I believe, a one-time fee, so I don't think we'll see that go anywhere.
Quick question.
Sure.
Doesn't Jasperson do that?
No, this
No.
is a turf inspection contract where they come out, test the impact of
Oh.
the turf and decide whether it needs to be filled or whatever. So that's the.
Yeah.
Got you covered.
You don't have to be a lot.
Figure out.
Or the year after. Because
Okay, page 11. I'm sorry, did you have any questions for that? No, we're good there? All right. Page 11, 5580.01 administrators travel. We did budget a little low for that this year and we're going slightly over. So there's more folks taking advantage of some conferences and some travel fees that were incurred there. Page 12. This we've talked about in previous meetings, but I did want to just bring it to light again. 5622, the electricity, as we all know, is beyond over 300,000 over, and that was as of May 31st. So we're gonna be running that in the red as well, a little bit more. Fortunately, there's other line items that can compensate for that, but that, as you know, is because of the building, the new building project that we had to incur those expenses. Yeah.
I have a question on that. Have we, now that we've sort of hit a steady state in the new building, right? Have we done the projections during budget season? The topic came up and many of the people in the conversation felt that it was good as it was. Do we have a projection now that the building's running, what those utility bills are going to be like? And do we need to be concerned about an overage next year?
I think we're in good shape. I think we're in good shape and we'll look at some more data to kind of zone in on that. But I do know that that charge is supposed to drop off as well for the electricity, that extra service charge. So that might help us a little. We have more efficiencies in the new building, so that's going to help us with the electricity fees. So I I think we're gonna, see it be, right on target,
I had asked
is my
the building-
prediction.
I asked the building committee if they certified it, if they didn't give it. And I said, well, how do you decide if the building actually performs the way it was? I got, I would say several blank stares of non-answers. So it's like, well, this is the goal. So nobody really wanted to commit to what the efficiency would be in the building committee. Would you concur? So that's why I wasn't sure if we can, as the fall hits, if we can start to look at what that steady state is, so you guys are prepared for what may be great news or
Sure.
potentially they overstated or overly enthusiastic with the projection. That's the
We'll keep an eye on.
thanks, Doc.
Okay, instructional tech supply line 5650. That's for, chargers and apparatuses to help with our devices. And, Rachel is on top of that because we do have a balance there and we will be consuming. There's a balance of 59,000. And dues and fees, I believe that we under budgeted for that as well. We do have a lot of, memberships that we belong to, professional and, otherwise. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that and make sure that we have the appropriate amount budgeted for next year. May have to move a little funding.
Or that, or if we actually need them.
Correct. Yep, we could do a deeper dive. I think we did do a pretty deep dive into it and they're all pretty warranted.
Check it out every year.
Any questions?
Questions?
Don, you knocked off a couple of them, so thank you. Yeah. You have,
Now he only has 12 instead of 20.
no, I had 8, I'm down to 6 then. You have, anybody else have any?
I'm sure you can call.
Thanks, Glenn. I think you're making me laugh. 51, so on page 8. 5111.50. I'll ask the question and then I'm gonna guess the answer. No, but stipends, are these is the big stipends line item, the generic stipends. Is this not fully consumed simply because we haven't paid them yet?
Yes,
I had a feeling, and then when it all happens,
you got it.
that's what I thought. 5111,
Yeah, they're going up.
same page, 5111.60, a speech pathologist. So what I did is, I can't really track I can't track how the budget's doing the individual staff line items early in the year, because you just don't know who's 12 months, who's 10 months. I don't know that answer, but as we're in the final month, anything that's, not really in the 85s and 90s, it's, I will say, draws my attention to it. So speech pathology, I think that's been a staff shortage throughout the year, but it's only at 3/4. What was are we looking for somebody still, or what's the?
So you're correct. There was a shortage there. I think we were filling the gap with external consulting services. So that line item is over.
Okay.
So yes, you are correct. So that is why there's money remaining there.
Okay.
But in the end, it'll all balance out.
And we have hired for the positions now, so we actually are not using the third-party service for that anymore. Because we can build the speech pathology. It's awesome.
Oh, you must be built. I know that's been one of the ones you've always said is hard to fill.
Correct. It is a very hard to.
All right, next is it's a 5112.10, same page. It would be, I assume, IT technician. It says technician, so I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's IT technician. It's only at 2/3 for the year. And I know that the IT team is always in it. Mr. Wilson says everybody's working super hard trying to get a mountain of work done. If we're only at 2/3, I'm not aware of the team having vacancies. So do we have extra positions in the budget that they can start to consume, or what's the 66%?
Yeah, so I think that was just a little over budgeted on that line. That's why we're ending up with a little more.
Did we carry it to?
Josh gets a raise.
Well, did we carry it into, I just know that the team, there are not, in my world, we have it's employees to devices. And on our side of the private world, our ratio of employees to devices, technician wise.
So if you look at last year's, what we came in at around 307 at the end of the year, it looks like we over budgeted here. So maybe we anticipated that it was going to be more than it actually came out, right?
I think we did have to use some overtime with the new building.
maybe we anticipated no overtime going into use.
Or maybe the overtime will take a line.
They could have been funded in another line item. You are correct. Thank you.
If we carried it over, and it's not a decision, but I would be in favor of helping the ratio a bit for, we're gonna have more buildings open now, right? We're actually increasing our building footprint. I'm not sure if the IT team. If the budget, now that I'm thinking about this, I didn't think that's this budget season. Have we expanded the IT team at least a person or two to accommodate all the active buildings? Going to be, because it is a bigger lift. It's not just devices. It's number of places need to be, number of tickets that come in, stuff like that.
We could check in with Rachel. She's the expert on it.
No doubt. Let's see, next you got that one. Dean, I have to throw you a bone here. Everybody knows I always ask about custodian overtime. And it's right on the mark, so I was very excited.
So we play.
Was that one of your 6 questions?
That is actually, so the last one, last two, 5430.20, which is probably page. 10. 20.
Okay.
So the 14,500 encumbrance. I know that this was the Jesperson contract. And we know there was an increase and there's been discussions about changes based on you having met with him, but I wasn't sure what the remaining encumbrance was for.
So, that's just regular maintenance. I'm sure that we would see if there's an invoice coming our way. And we'll probably be consuming it. I'm sure there's an outstanding invoice.
So like, I know that we have in the past had them play softball fields and things, but does that come out of landscaping line item or would that come out of like the athletic?
That's under his contract,
Well, they bring in,
the fields.
I think he's asking what is not in his contract, where the money comes from.
right, so is that
Comes out of the general.
out of general, so I guess he was, not to get Glenn riled up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking about out of his contract.
Yeah, just because 14.5, they would have already gotten their last payment based on the payment schedule. So I was just, it stuck out, that's why.
Well, the budgeted line item for that to 210 is actually, I believe, it's contract.
It's actually low this year, I think it was under, I think we determined in a prior meeting. The contract value was never adjusted in this budget cycle to be this percentage increase. But it's like 225,000 this year, so I think 210, but it's still showing another 14.5 in the conference, like we're planning to spend.
Yeah, when you guys buy the mulch and shit, we buy the mulch, but he spends. Things like that, right?
So that's, if that's the account number that it comes out of, then that's the explanation, but if it comes out of athletics for various things, that's all that's.
I'll put that to them now.
Now we have one last one. 5520, it's just a couple line items down. Liability insurance. Is it just a remaining payment that we made, or do we change, what was the reason that we're doing so well, which is a good thing?
Well, yeah, that's one thing to celebrate. That's our karma.
Yeah,
So our liability insurance, and yes, you're correct. We are having some, less claims there. So not on this.
so they brought our rate down due to the claims experience,
Yes.
or we self-insure, or however it works, but great, that's it. I have no extras, you're not off all the others, thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Cover it pretty much.
I got all yours.
Good.
You just do next time products. There's a couple of you. So. According to policy. The schools need to let you know by May, right? Their intent to, and everyone.
And with all the principals, and we're all in good shape.
And. So I see. So if there's so this was as of. It says June 6th. So it's $11,000 in the Raider Shack.
Yes,
Seems like a lot.
I think they use that for the paid program. So they,
What program?
paid,
Paid?
special ed. So, yeah, no, I think that goes into their, activities. So, do you want me to walk you through this?
Yes.
Sure.
Just the bigger
Yeah,
one.
no, it says 112 line items here, or more than that, but just so you all know, the top is their accounts, their Torrington Savings Bank, the teachers credit union, we also have a CD. So that top up there, you see with 344 and change is their funds that they have in accounts. The top account for 178 is where they draw their checks from. So if you look down below, all of these sub accounts in QuickBooks are equivalent to 338,000. And the reason for the difference is because there's actually interest baked into some of the CDs and the savings accounts above that aren't allocated down below. So we're most likely going to just put that into the principals fund. And the principals fund, which has 40,000, is the Torrington Savings Bank window. They had given us some money to adjust the window, the teller window at the school. So that's why that's showing such a high amount in the principals fund. It was one way that they were able to mitigate that whole situation. But they're paying invoices on it through that account.
So that's gonna be used up.
Yeah, the other large sum on the page 15, that 89,000, which is a scholarship. There's a lot of these funds are mostly scholarships or fundraising. And the scholarship, they only give out for that particular one, $1,000 a year. So that's why that is just kind of a large sum that's being carried forward on and on. So but yeah, on the previous pages, all those other accounts are basically their fundraising, and it goes directly to the clubs that they're fundraising for other activities.
And then some of it like continues for the year. So you
Correct.
fundraise freshman year for senior.
Yes,
So on page 14, 29th athletic department, it's quite a bit of money in there.
yes, and I was told that he usually uses it for the summer, spends it down, gets equipment and things that is needed for the athletic department. Yes,
And plus like in August, that they start like football
yes,
conditioning and such. Robotics, on page 13. The last item.
yeah, that was a grant. And that goes to the robotics club and their
Would be
activities.
using it the following year.
Correct.
It's like anything over 5,000 or 6,000. So page 14, a couple of them over 6,000, Torrington and Torrington Booster Club.
Yeah, the Torringtonian is their yearbook. So once again, a lot of these expenses are gonna hit at the end of the year.
Yep.
And what was the other one? Booster Club? Yeah, same thing, activities, to support the students end of year activities.
Band and orchestra, with your uniforms and the repairs for instruments and such.
Yes,
Oh, sorry, Paris for instruments, let that fall out of music. I thought this was like a student activity, yeah. But
it could be fees that the parents are paying in for it, and then it goes back into the program.
Say,
It's kind of a supplemental.
yeah,
But these aren't fees that the district.
I should,
charge,
damn, we have
No,
fire.
no.
Because those would come as revenue on.
No,
Correct.
they gave it to us, we just had to return. Band uniform, big black pants.
We'll bring a picture, but it doesn't see.
Right.
okay, so there's extra in class of 2024. Where you're 13 of 20, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so you're looking at the 1,771 cents?
Yes. I'm just looking at it because it's a class.
Yeah, yeah, so that'll probably be rolled forward. They most likely are gonna reconcile it at the end of the year, once all the expenses are out.
And then right above that boys basketball.
Yep, so those are the ticket charges. When people come, they pay their ticket fees, and so that's that account, and then it goes back into the basketball program. They have like other expenses, travel, even uniforms. I could look into that.
On page 14, all of fame.
Yep, that's for the alumni. They do a little hall of fame for them. I guess they do pictures or portraits or something wonderful to recognize their alumni.
15 of 20, I'm sorry. Testing AP.
Yes, so we pay 50% of the AP fees, and if there's a hardship, we also help support students for the testing.
Okay, so that will be paid down.
Correct.
For the end. Unified sports. It's also. Yeah.
Yes.
Jason.
Just, so all of these accounts are current, correct? It's
Yes.
been cleaned up, and so, the Costa Rica international trip that happened this year, there's a balance there, so does that then get put into whatever the next international trip is, or does that go to a principal's account?
So they're going to reconcile at the end of the year, to your point, most likely to, you know, whatever the need is. But it could go to the principal's account if there's not a legitimate trip.
And just out of curiosity, but like the CDs and stuff, what is that money generally earmarked for? Like, that they have that for $71,000, what is that?
Yes, so this balance up here reflects their southern accounts down there. So it's basically looking at the revenue on the top and the
Okay.
expenses on the bottom.
They're putting the money in CDs to get a return of some kind of. The question is just, where does the return go? Some of the scholarship funds make up, one of them makes up a third or a quarter of the entire balance. Yeah. Do we, I'm not sure how you guys decide to do it, but those scholarships can become recurring. That one makes almost enough interest to cover a third of its output every year.
Sure.
If we were actually.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Back to the Costa Rica trip. The fundraiser was for that particular trip. It's a restricted fund. So if it's not all used, I think you have to. I'd be wrong, but you need to notify whoever gave that their permission to use it for something else.
Policy, 2 months ago.
I'll check into that, to see what the protocol is.
Yeah, but what the wording says.
Sure.
Because it can say that it's for the Costa Rica trip or.
Right, right.
And if it
Hardship
does,
funds
that's,
for future
that's,
trips.
that's perfect, but if not, whoever donated needs to be.
Sure.
This once before, so I remember that policy.
Thank you.
Just-
Yep. Oh, that's great.
Anyone else questions? I'm gonna ask you a question. Exhausted everyone. Okay. You're on.
I have just 1 or 2 quick ones. I think Jason already asked, so these are all, what is the rule of the 2 years of inactivity? Like, what makes a fund go inactive so you guys don't have to deal with it anymore?
Most of these are rolling funds. They're, you know, basically scholarships and fundraisers to support activities in that year. If it's not used in that year, it's most likely rolled into the principal's activity fund to go for future years. As far as inactivity, I met with the, you know, the principal and Tara, and she went over every single one of these accounts. They're all pretty active still.
She's
Yeah, she's
got us.
amazing. So this is a lot to really oversee and it's done very well. And I asked if there were any line items that we want to delete, and right now I think they're standing pretty solid as far as.
There were a lot, there were like a couple more pages.
Ellen went for the exhaustive list of over 5,000. I'll just ask the question, what about the negatives? There's a couple negatives out there. There's a scholarship CTE. And then the other one's, I think it's scholarship national. Are those scholarship funds, are they annuity type things where somebody donated one time and then it pays to the end, or could it be that you've always held the money, the scholarship got paid a scholarship night? The person, the donor hasn't actually.
Yeah.
checked.
So the negative $8.41 I did ask about, or 46 cents. And I think what happened was the scholarship, they rounded out, they had like, they wanted to make the equal thousand for that. And in order to do so, they had to overdraw it by $8.46. So I would assume that the principal's fund would be able to absorb that.
Or the interest.
For the interest.
Correct.
And then the other one was 250.
Yeah, which page is that?
That's the last page, your second line of last scholarship CT. Towards the top.
Oh, yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, so, yeah. That one is the same situation. I believe that the amount was rounded out. But I will check on that.
Otherwise, no more questions from me. I did not have all the questions tonight.
This is great. It's cleaned up a lot and it's good that we look at it.
Agreed.
Grant updates, which includes alliance. So I just asked to see what we were allotted, what we used and what's left. What's gonna be left, it's not gonna be left. As far as grants, some of 1 year, some of 2 year. Just wanted us to get an idea of what we have, where we are.
We're in great shape. As usual, Alliance on page 16 is 91% spent down, will be 100% spent down by June 30th. That is a 1-year grant. Page 17, the IDEA grant. The 611 is the larger grant, K through 12, the one, and the top part is the current year. And the bottom part is the carryover year. The carryover year, you want to be spent down by basically June 30th, and we're right there. And up top, we actually have until September, the end of September, to spend that down to 85% of the grant, because this is a federal grant and it's a 2-year grant. So we are allowed to carry over funds into the second year. There's a little bit of overlap that happens with these grants. So we're in great shape there. Page 18, another federal grant, Title I. Top of the page is the current year. And we're actually in very good shape actually to spend the current year down. And the bottom carryover year will be spent down as well. I want to be there, yes.
Question on the back one page on the IDEA 611 grant.
Yep.
It says fiscal year 25-26 is the current year.
It's a federal grant and they follow a different fiscal year than we do.
Okay.
So this is something that it's confusing.
I'm sorry, I'm
Because
confused.
the federal fiscal year starts 10/1 and it goes to the end of September. So their fiscal year names are a little bit different than ours.
10-1 of 24 to 10-1 of 25
Correct.
is 25-26.
Yes.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, no problem. So again, Title I on page 18 is in good shape. Title II is for professional development mostly, and we have staff in there that provide professional development. And again, that needs to be spent down to at least 85% by September, and we are in the current year more than good shape. And then for the carryover, we have to be 100% spent down by June 30th, which we will be. And then for 619 IDEA on page 20, that is for the preschools. So it's a smaller part of the IDA grant, but it's for students that are 3 to 5. And, oh, actually 3. And that one is in good shape as well. It doesn't look like we have a lot of funds spent down for the current year, so we'll keep an eye on that and make sure that as we get closer to September, that we're nearing that 85% mark. But again, the carryover year is 100% spent down. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Negatives, remaining balance on the negatives. We'll start with the lines.
Okay.
So that'll be absorbed by others that aren't negative.
So for the grants, you're allowed to go over 10% of your line item or under 10%. You don't have to do a budget modification for that. So we let it go,
So long as
And-
total.
so long as the total doesn't go over.
Gotcha. All right, and the same would apply for some negative in Title I.
Yes,
Same thing.
yes.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to you. Any questions?
Good.
Topics for future meetings.
Band-Aid.
Send that back to facility maintenance.
So probably monthly financials. To look at this again. Just like oh, no, we have to September, right? So we don't have to look at the grants or the plans or anything.
We're in good shape.
Plus we're getting new. So just the 2 years, right? 24, 25, 25, 26 budgets.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then 70. Yeah, and if anything comes up in between, or. I'm just gonna go to the order. Start with Dawn.
I'm all talked to. No, great meeting. Thank you so much for your support and your help. And I really do appreciate the questions. I really do. It's nice because it's also good for the public to know and the taxpayers to know how well the money is being spent and how great the board is, you know, in its oversight and central office. I appreciate it.
Jason.
Looking forward to the end of the year. The end of an era in our 6 through 8 building. So I don't know if Josh could be there like he did for the high school to film the exiting of students at the end of the school day on Friday. I will be live streaming our bus dismissal, as there is a tradition at the middle school where we all go to the flagpole and wave the buses goodbye, and that is always streamed on social media. So that will be live streamed on social media. And I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson, that you have to make the changes that you have to make based on the decisions of last week or whatever it was. It's unfortunate, and I think it was anticipated, unfortunately, and maybe it'll be a different situation next year.
Thank you very much. Great. Donna, thank you for all your support. It's really, really appreciated.
I'm good. Great meeting. I am looking forward to moving into our new space. I've been here 26 years, and since day one, I was told we were moving out of this. Finally, we are getting out of this building, so I look forward to that on one hand, but the thought of packing up boxes and boxes of stuff is a little daunting. Yes.
You see your video.
Yes,
Been there?
Mr. Wilson took us through a couple months ago. Couple people have come through and said, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, but haven't been back yet to see it, so I'm excited. So, thank you.
Oh, great meeting. For the end of the year. Nice job, financial team. Mr. Wilson, great meeting, you know.
We're all working hard.
Oh, you don't have to say
Mr. Wilson.
He's thanking you.
Oh, you thank me? Thank you, sir.
Carry on.
No, good, thank you.
I think this is the last meeting of this room. Before that.
Believe so.
So the end of two eras, right? This is many, many years of staff volunteers and folks tutoring, collaborating in this room and yeah, that's
Eye blinding sun coming through the window.
yes. There's and the noises and the. and it really weird.
The occasional
Sounds.
odor of hamburger.
The neighbors next
I
door.
love my neighbors. I love my neighbors.
So, but just wanted to point that out. And thank everybody for their hard work. Thanks, Donna, for entertaining all my questions.
Anything?
Good meeting.
Yeah, great meeting and Donna. Phenomenal. Or you do so much and it's nice to see it, you know what I mean? So we appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you.
One parting comments with a final meeting with Midge and Abby, all the years you've been.
I tried.
You're welcome.